You ever walk down a street, minding your own business, when someone decides to make you their target? That's where this story starts, in a small nowhere town called Redding Creek, where Ginny Carter, a 29-year-old grocery clerk, got caught in a moment that'd change everything. Picture this. It's dusk, the neon sign of Rusty's Dive Bar buzzing like a hornet's nest, and Ginny's just trying to get home with her canvas bag of leftovers, her sneakers scuffing the cracked sidewalk. Ginny's not the kind of person you'd notice in a crowd. Plain jeans, a faded flannel, hair in a messy bun, no makeup, no flash. To most folks, she's just the girl who scans their milk and eggs, always with a quick nod, maybe a half smile if you're lucky. But that night, as she passed Rusty's, a pack of bikers spilled out onto the street, leather jackets creaking, beer cans glinting under the streetlights. They were led by Tommy Knuckles Reed, a guy who owned this corner of town like it was his kingdom, his shaved head and scarred jaw screaming trouble. The air was thick with cigarette smoke and gasoline, and their laughter hit Ginny like a slap. "Hey, grocery girl," one of them, a wiry dude with a patchy goatee, called out. "What's in that bag?" "Day-old bread and dreams you can't afford." The others cackled, a mean, low sound, and a crumpled can landed at her feet. Ginny didn't flinch, didn't look back. She just kept walking, her bag brushing her hip, her steps steady. But you could see her fingers tighten, knuckles going white, like she was holding something bigger than groceries. 2 days earlier, Ginny had gotten a note slipped under her apartment door, handwritten, old school, from her high school friend, Lisa. They'd been tight back then, sharing secrets over cheap coffee at the diner. Lisa always defending Ginny when kids mocked her thrift store clothes. The note said to meet at Millie's diner, said Lisa needed to talk, something big. Ginny showed up, same as always, jeans, flannel, her canvas bag slung over her shoulder. But Lisa wasn't alone. A guy in a slick suit sat next to her, his smile too polished, like a car salesman who knows you're broke. He said he was a headhunter for some corporate gig, said Lisa vouched for her. But Lisa wouldn't meet Ginny's eyes, just kept shredding a napkin into confetti. The guy's questions came fast about her job, her life, her past, and Ginny answered, calm, careful. Then he laughed, a sharp, nasty sound, and said, "Lisa told me you were a nobody, but I wanted to see it for myself." Lisa's face went red, her apology a mumble, but Ginny was already standing, her coffee untouched, walking out. That betrayal stung like a fresh cut, the kind you don't feel until you move. Outside the diner, a teenage waitress, Ellie, barely 18, caught up to her, apron still tied, hands shaking. "I heard what happened in there," she said, voice small but fierce. "That was messed up. You didn't deserve it." Ginny paused, her hand on her bag, and gave a nod, her eyes softening for a split second before she kept walking. That tiny act of kindness stuck with her, a pinprick of light in a day that felt like it was built to break her. Back to that night, by Rusty's. The bikers weren't done. A woman with a tight leather vest and sharp eyes, Callie, pointed at Ginny's sneakers. "Bet she fished those out of a dumpster," she sneered, and the gang roared, their laughter a wall closing in. A delivery truck rumbled by, its driver, an older guy named Hank with a faded cap, slowing down, watching Ginny's tense shoulders. He'd seen her at the store, always polite, always quick with a smile when he dropped off produce. Now his hand hovered over the horn, but he didn't press it, just pulled over a block away, his jaw tight, unsure if stepping in would make things worse. Ginny didn't see him, didn't know he was there, but his hesitation hung heavy, a silent witness. Tommy stepped forward, boots planted wide, his voice dripping venom. "What's the rush, sweetheart? Scared to play with the big kids?" He jabbed her shoulder, his finger digging into her flannel. "This shirt's worth less than my beer." The gang chanted his name, their voices a tidal wave. Ginny's jaw clenched, but she didn't back down. "Move," she said, low, almost a growl. For a second, Tommy's grin slipped, but he recovered fast, stepping closer. A kid in the gang, maybe 19, with a lip-piercing and nervous eyes, muttered, "She walks like she's got a plan." Tommy shot him a glare, and the kid shut up. Across the street, Mr. Kahn, the corner store owner, watched from his doorway, his hands gripping the frame. He'd seen Ginny every evening, always with a quiet hello. Now he fumbled for his phone, recording, his breath shaky, wanting to help but scared of Tommy's crew. Callie laughed again, tossing her hair. Bet she's got nothing under that rag but a cheap bra. A blonde woman, Tara, with fake tan and dangling earrings, yelled, "Tommy, show her who's boss." The gang howled, waiting for Jenny to crack. Tommy grabbed her collar and yanked, tearing the flannel open. The crowd roared until they saw it. On Jenny's shoulder, clear as day, was a tattoo, an eagle, globe, an anchor, the Marine Corps emblem, with 0311 Infantry in bold ink. The laughter died. Tara's phone dipped, her eyes wide. The kid with the lip-piercing whispered, "No way. She's a Marine." Tommy's hand, still holding the torn fabric, shook. Jenny's eyes locked on his, cold as steel. "You chose this," she said, her voice cutting through the silence. A teenage girl on a bike, watching from the shadows, let out a small cheer before clapping her hand over her mouth. Jenny's lips twitched, almost a smile. A bar regular, an older guy named Ray with calloused hands and a faded army tattoo, dropped his cigarette, his face pale. He'd laughed at first, but now he muttered, "She's the real deal," and slipped into the shadows, shame in his eyes. Tommy tried to laugh it off, his voice too loud. "So what? You're a Marine? You're alone." He swung a fist at her jaw. The gang cheered, Tara's phone back up, hungry for blood. But Jenny moved like lightning. She caught his wrist, twisted, and threw him to the ground with a judo move so smooth it looked choreographed. She pinned him, her knee on his chest, and said, "Free lesson, Tommy. Don't touch me again." The gang froze, knives half drawn, unsure. An older woman in a denim jacket clapped once, then stopped, like she wasn't sure it was allowed. Then engines growled. 2 jeeps rolled up, headlights slicing the dusk. A group of veterans stepped out, one with a crew cut and a faded tattoo calling out, "Sergeant Carter." They saluted, sharp and crisp. The bikers went pale, knives dropping. Tara's phone fell to her side. Tommy scrambled up, clutching his arm, his face a mix of rage and humiliation. Jenny picked up her bag, nodded to the vets, and said to Tommy, "You're alive tonight because I don't waste my time." She walked off, her torn flannel flapping, her steps steady. The next day, Redding Creek was buzzing. Tara's video went viral, not the win she expected. It showed Jenny's tattoo, her takedown, the vet's salute. Comments flooded in, calling Jenny a hero, sharing stories of being judged, dismissed. Tara deleted her account, but her name was tied to that laugh. The wiry guy got fired from his garage job. Tommy vanished, his bike left outside Rusty's like a ghost. At the store, Jenny's coworker, a woman named Marie with tired hands, slipped her a note. "You're tougher than they'll ever know." Customers looked at her differently. A Vietnam vet tipped his hat. A kid posted online. "Saw her today. Total badass." Jenny kept working, scanning groceries, her hands steady. She didn't talk about the bar, the tattoo, the vets. But one evening, passing a bulletin board, she saw a note. To the woman with the Marine tattoo, "You gave me hope. Thank you." No name, just careful handwriting. Jenny's fingers brushed it, her eyes lingering. Then she walked on. At home, her husband, Mike, a quiet man with a soldier's posture, waited. They didn't need to talk about it. His hand brushed hers, and that was enough. Here's the thing, Jenny's story isn't just hers. It's for anyone who's been looked down on, who's felt that sting when someone tries to make you small. She didn't need to shout, didn't need to prove anything. She just stood her ground, and the world noticed. But was she right to let Tommy walk? Should she have pressed harder, made him pay more? What would you have done? Drop a comment, tell me where you're watching from, and let's talk about it, about standing tall, about justice, about the fights we pick. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep telling these stories together.